Dear friend, I am so sorry about last night.
So yesterday I sat down at the piano and I sang through Vanilla Ice Cream for the first time ever. I've taught this to so many people, but I thought it would be fun for me to sing it and then to talk through it like I would a lesson. So let's look at it.
It was a nightmare in every way, but together you and I will laugh at last night someday.
So one of my biggest pet peeves is hearing it sung too operatic, or hearing it go back and forth between a really good music theater sound and then all of a sudden you hear opera and then you hear music theater, and it's very disconjunct.
Ice cream, he bought me ice cream, vanilla ice cream, imagine that!
You can use the classical space if you need more space, but use the hot air, which is going to make it not sound like an opera aria.
Ice cream, and for the first time we were together without a spat.
There are a lot of really nice notes that you can bring the vibrato in this piece. So really enjoy the straight tone going into vibrato. It's a beautiful way to bring some expression in.
Friendly, he was so friendly. It wasn't like him. I'm simply stunned.
Okay, this next section is tricky. It's a W, it's a W on a higher pitch. So you're trying to keep your air consistent, and then you've got this like W vowel, which is like wide and can like pull things up in here. So you have to be really careful. One thing I really like is to think of a W as a W. Well, the word is will. So instead of going will, will, will.
Wonders never cease. Wonders never cease.
So I do that, but one thing I would add when I listened back next time is I would put a little bit more air on the onset. The other thing that's really important in this section is she is excited. And so these sections that go a little bit higher need to have a lot of abdominal support. So if you think about it from an acting perspective, you're excited and you're happy, so your abdominals should actually already be engaged and working. So if you will wonders never cease. Anyway, that's just my thoughts of what I would tell myself to do to fix what I don't like here.
It's been a most peculiar day.
Okay, so on this word, I would not use vibrato. But what I would do is do that flipping. I would flip into chest and then come back out. I call it pancaking. That's really helpful. So don't be afraid to do that because you're worried about the change in color. In these instances, it's actually really helpful and sounds very natural.
Wonders never cease. Wonders never cease.
Okay, so now we're going back to that lower speech-like talk, which is just super fun. This is such a fun piece to do that. Make sure that it is talky, though. This is not sung. It's Sprechgesang, which is basically sung speech, but don't leave the speech part out. Don't just sing this.
I sat there waiting in that cafe and never guessing that you were fat, that you were near. You were outside looking bald. I am so sorry about last night.
Now, this part I really love. I really love using consonants like near. I love using the N vowels and consonants that can really help me shape the color of the words. So when you have a chance to do that, go ahead and do that. I think I use it when near and night. It's kind of fun.
Last night, I was so nasty. Well, he deserved it, but even so, that George is not like this George. This is a new George that I don't know.
Okay, so here's another place where people often fall into the trap of going classical. Don't do that. Make sure your air is staying consistent and make sure your diction is really forward. Lips, teeth, tip of the tongue.
Somehow it all reminds me of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
By the way, this is why recording and listening back is so important. It's a way to learn so much about your voice without singing and singing and singing. You record, you listen, you don't judge, you analyze, and then you go back and fix. So it's a really good tool that people should be using more, maybe.
And right before my eyes, a man who I despise has turned into a man I like.
Still make sure that you're supporting, make sure that the sound is riding on the air.
It's almost like a dream, and strange as it may seem.
If I were to do it again, I would have a little bit more air at the onset, same as I would in the other one. So I'd kind of fix the same thing.
He came to offer me vanilla.
So we're at the end, and this is the pitfall that I see a lot of people fall into, because all of a sudden it goes like classical world, and I'm like, why are they doing that? It's difficult, I get it, but keep your hot air going. You can use classical space, but do not use classical resonance. Otherwise, the sound's completely going to shift. And I should have said this earlier, on the word ice cream, again, split it apart. It's not ice cream, it is ice cream. So there's an ah in there and there's an I in there. So every time you say ice cream in this song, you can think ice cream, ice cream. Now, when you go up to the top, that's going to make it a lot easier to say I rather than ah. It's just too hard. So think of ice cream.
Ice cream!
I would put a little bit more I in that sound so that it doesn't end up sounding like a bad word. But that those are my thoughts on the end, and I think it's really important to keep it in the same style and not all of a sudden become like some opera singer at the end. So those are my 2 cents on vanilla ice cream. I hope they help.